Hi, Bethel here, the creator, writer, and artist of the webcomic Long John, which you can read in its entirety now at longjohncomic.com, here with another Bethel Draws video. Every year, my wife and I send out a New Year's card instead of a holiday card, just to be non-denominational and unique. And for the last 3 years specifically, we've been doing cartoony versions of ourselves in different situations. Originally, it was just us flying away from an exploding year of announcing 2024. But last year was the first time I did, to use the parlance of anime or manga, chibi versions of ourselves, or super deformed. Basically, cartoonified, short, little Lego versions of ourselves, basically. Doing things that we like to do and putting our animals in hilarious situations. My wife and I are big campers and hikers and just like to chill. And so last year we celebrated our love of camping by reenacting a trip we went on in 2024. And so this year, I decided to keep that tradition going, to put us in a different situation of things we like to do. And so this time we're kind of out hiking. Our favorite place in the world to go is the Sierra Nevada mountain range. That's where I knew I wanted to set it. I didn't want to do another camping scene because we already did that. So we decided to kind of do what we do whenever we do a big hike. We kind of celebrate by going to someplace to get a beverage and some snacks, or sometimes we bring those. And so that's what I wanted to represent here by having us on a super deformed or chibi version of my wife's truck, celebrating an adventure we had. And of course, the fun part is also figuring out what kind of silly situations to put our animals in. Though I was generally pretty reserved with them this time, except for our cat Martha, who you will see dangling from the back. This idea was one I had pretty shortly after completing the one for 2025. Because, thinking about the things we like to do, I don't think this was a sketch that I originally did that year, but it definitely came to mind shortly after completing the camping one. And so it was just kind of sitting in the back of my brain, waiting for when I actually had to do it. The one thing that worried in quotes really, is coloring it, because the nice thing with the 2025 card was that it was at night and I didn't have to really worry about rendering everything, just the stuff that was in the light of the campfire. However, this one was going to be during the day. And so I don't consider myself a pretty adept at coloring by any means. And so I knew doing like bold, bright, cartoony colors might be a bit too much. It might flatten everything out. It might kind of mute, for lack of a better word, the heart, the sort of the chill vibes I wanted the drawing to have. But I'm also not adept at painting at all. I don't have that kind of style. I'm not particularly interested in drawing in that style. So I had to find a way in between there to figure out what would make this drawing look the way I wanted it to look. And so while I kept the figures in their traditional sort of cartoony, animated style of coloring, the background, I brought in a skill I've been practicing off and on over the last couple of years of using ink washes or watercolor style toning and then coloring over that. Not pushing it too hard with the detail or with blending or mixing different colors. I just wanted to have it be subtle. And let the sort of texture of the brush or the way the digital watercolor or ink wash kind of spreads across the page to fill in the gaps that bridges the span between realism and cartooniness. Not to get too pretentious here. The most important stage, I would say, would be that sketch stage, actually getting the characters into place, having everything work just structurally, right? But it's when I'm doing the line work, actually putting the ink down on paper, so to speak. Again, this was all digital. That's when I start doing a lot of experimentation with the details, figuring out what works and what doesn't. You might have seen earlier where I was like, where should I have my wife looking? And to the point where I think where I got frustrated, just gave her big old anime eyes for a second. But that's kind of, I think, especially as a person that goes around and says I'm the artist that doesn't like to draw, that's where the fun comes in for me. That allows me to keep pushing through on any project, from drawing these cards to doing comics. It's like once I have everything in place, I can then start playing around and find what works best for the composition, for the story in the case of the comics, or for the mood, the tone that I want to set with a drawing such as this. And so not only doing that for the figures, but figuring out what to do with the animals, where to place them, but still have it all make sense, but also still have it be fun, is a fun task to attack. And I'm really excited I get to do that every year for as long as I possibly can. So yeah, it was a fun one. It came out pretty much better than I was hoping, but as good as I was expecting it to be. And I'm very excited to draw the next one. Maybe I shouldn't wait so long in the year to actually get started on that. But anyway, I'm D. Bethel. You can find my work at longjohncomic.com, where you can also find the books of Long John. But until next time, thank you for watching me draw.